So for December 15th, we had this stats program. And so this was the challenge for today, creating a program that reads the names and scores from the data file provided. The file contains a student number on one line, followed by a comma, and then the student's test score. Each line contains a different student. The program should read the file and display each name and score. After all the scores have been displayed, the lowest, highest, and average score should be displayed. And so we have this file, so that's great. Now downloading it, a little tricky with Classroom. You always have to open it in a new window, and then you can download it. And I have downloaded my copy, and there's the download button. So I've downloaded my copy, so let's get right to it. So let's open this up. Stats. So we have created a program called Stats. And there's my to-do list from the previous video. So here's the read file. This was the sample program we did the other day. So the whole reason we do this is that then we can take that information and reuse it. So I'm just going to copy that. And in the HTML in the body, I'm going to replace it. And there we go. So this particular thing December 15 stats. Choose a file to upload, then we'll, so that's all good. That's all the same. And again, this read from file, this is on my GitHub, github.com, Ian McT, and it's the read from file one. There's this, that's the sample. So you notice that it's very similar. So that's really useful. And we have this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this and I'm just going to use that as my starting point. Okay, so here we go. I've got my starting point. Read from file input. It creates a file reader, and it reads it as text. And on the load for the file, it calls this function process contents. So I don't need to make any changes to that. Here, process contents, that's where I split it and everything. So it's good practice to type this out. I'm not typing it out because I want to show you the logic and how to do this, but I'm just going to quickly do a quick check of this. Oops. I need to go to the wrong file. There we go. So it's pulling the data. So that's great. So let's go back. After all the scores have been displayed, the lowest score. So that needs to be started. So to figure out the lowest score, what I'm going to do is in the process contents, I'm going to have some logic for that. So I'm going to have lowest score. And the lowest score that I'm going to have is, I'm going to take the number and I'm going to take the max safe integer. So this is the biggest number that is possible. So the idea here is that I'm going to compare each score to this. So here's my loop where I'm looping through all of the things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little if statement. So if my lowest score, if it is less than, no, I'm going to change that. I'm going to parse int, and I'm going to take, okay, so I've got the full line. The problem is the line is just separated by commas here. All right, so I'm going to split the line. I'm going to create a new variable here. Where student info equals line dot split. So this is going to split based on the comma. Okay, so student info. So here's the challenge. So parse int student info. Now, because the split generates an array, I need to access the element in array, so the square bracket. So if I look at the scores, the first item is item 0. The second item is going to be item 1. So I'm going to put item 1. So that's going to give me the score. And you can see there's all the scores. And what it's going to do is I am going to check if that is less than the lowest score. So let's figure out the logic here. So I'm reading through the lines. So the first line I'm going to split based on the comma. And then I'm going to check if that value, which is 55, is less than this value, which is some crazy huge number. Well, obviously it's going to be. So what I'm going to do then is my lowest score is now going to equal parse int right there. So there we go. The lowest score is now reset. And then I continue on the loop. So the next time through, now it's going to have Sandy, and Sandy is 84. So it's going to check if 84 is less than 55, which was the result for Danny. And it's not, so I'm just going to skip through this. So lowest score continues to be Danny's score. So that will continue until I get to Percival. And at that point, 52 is less than 55, so I'm going to replace the lowest score. So that should be what happens. So after my loop, I'm going to take my output and I'm going to add lowest score. I'm going to output the lowest score. So let's add a line break. I don't need to, but I want to. Okay, syntax error, line 25. So lowest score plus lowest score plus, I didn't put this in quotation marks, so it's going, that's not JavaScript. What are you doing? There we go. Choose a file, scores. And there we go. You can see it's picked up 52, which was the lowest score in all of those. So I can use the same logic for the highest score. So now this time, what I can do is I can do the minimum. So the minimum value is going to be this crazy small negative number and stuff. So same thing. Now, I'm not going to do an else if. I'm going to have a separate if statement. And the reason I'm doing the separate if statement is because these are separate checks that I'm doing. So this time, I'm going to have it greater than the highest score. Okay, so my first time through, I have this crazy small negative number. And now I'm checking, is that number greater, is the number I just read greater than that? And obviously it's going to be. So if it's going to be, then I'm going to set my highest score to equal the score that I've just read. So 55 would be the highest score. Next time through, is 84 bigger than 55? Yes, it is. And then the next time, is 88 bigger than 84? Yes, it is. So it resets, and then here is 76 greater than 88? No, it's not. So I won't go in, that will result in false. that will result in false, 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 false until I get to L, who is 94, which is greater than 88, and that sets to true. So that should be the logic. And you notice that I say should be because that's the whole point of testing it. So plus equals highest score. And there we go. So let's run that. And this time I've got a highest score of 94, which is correct. And let's go back. Lowest score, highest score, and average score. So the average score is a little bit trickier. So what I'm going to need, the average is the total by the number of items. So I'm going to need two variables. The total, which is going to start at 0, and number of scores, which is going to start at 0. And I'm going to change that to count scores. So in here, I'm going to set my total to be plus equal to the value, %. And I am then going to go, okay, so that's going to be the total, and now my count scores plus plus. So the first time through, total is going to be 55 plus 0. So it's 55. Count scores is going to be 0 plus 1, which is now 1. Second time through, so 55 plus 84, whatever that is, and then 1 plus 1 is 2, and each time count scores is going to get up. So that should be all the logic I need for it. So when I output the average, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some math here. I'm going to take my total and I'm going to divide it by my count of scores. And if I run this, there we go. I get an average of 76.5, which if I pulled that into my calculator, I'm pretty sure is bang on. So that is how I did all of that. I am going to post this onto GitHub so you have easy access to it. So this will be called stats because that's the name of the program. Stats and December 15, 2021. So take advantage of me putting stuff on GitHub so that you can refer to the code and learn from it. And there you go. So github.com, Ian McT, and then it's /stats DEC 15 2021. Have a great day.